Rusty Wickwire versus Shan Leatherman, Attorney Donald Smith for plaintiff petitioner and Attorney Schaefer for respondent defendant.
Good afternoon to everyone.
Good afternoon, Judge.
This is the before the court on the petitioner's motion for a personal protective order. In this matter, as the parties are well aware, we previously had action with the parties reversed back on August 21, 2023 and September 27, 2023. And the court did enter a personal protective order for the respondent in this case at that time. And this is obviously same parties in reverse order. And we are appearing on today's date by agreement of the parties when we gave them various dates that you could appear in this matter. So with that, I would state, because of those earlier hearings, the court obviously will take and consider the testimony that occurred at that time, so we don't have to have redundant and have the same witnesses testify as did at the prior actions. You can always add anything else or any new evidence that you want, but I don't want to go over all the same stuff we did at those prior two hearing dates. With that, Mr. Smith, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Schaefer?
Ready, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Smith, do you wish to make an opening statement, waive your opening statement, and proceed to proofs?
Yeah, Your Honor, the only opening statement that I would make is that, and obviously there's a reason that that one family court judge is assigned for all the reasons you just indicated. So you're familiar with the situation, and I think you've heard hours of testimony and are generally familiar with it. It was your comment, which I knew that the court could not issue a mutual restraining order based on having heard one side of it. That's right in the statute. But the court alerted me that you could when both sides file. So it was me realizing that aspect of the law that caused us to here today. As the court has already heard, this is a mutual situation, which I think you will continue to realize as you hear the testimony here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Schaefer, do you wish to make an opening statement, reserve your opening statement, or waive your opening statement?
I wish to make an opening statement, Your Honor.
Okay.
This appears to be retaliatory in relation to the order that Your Honor signed on September 27th, 2023, in relation continuation of the other personal protective order. Overall, the allegations contained in this petition, I don't think rise to the level of any basis for any PPO as it relates to Shan Leatherman. Your Honor, many of the allegations and dates are not appropriate. There are quarrelings about family matters, estates, wills, and concern about what they were left in inheritance and so forth, all irrelevant, I think, for a PPO order. We are submitting that there is no basis for a PPO in this matter, and the petition should be dismissed. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, obviously, the court's not going to go into all of those other issues as Mr. Schaefer delineates as far as the wills, those types of things, et cetera, but I will address the issues that are germane to personal protective orders. So, Mr. Smith, you can proceed. Do you wish to call your witness?
Yeah, Your Honor. I think last time you had us proceed first too. We're happy to do that, but I would call Kathy Wickwire first, just so we don't have to worry about sequestering anybody.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Smith.
All right, Mrs. Wickwire. I know we've done this before, but how do you know Shan Leatherman?
She's my husband's sister.
Okay. And how long have you been married to your husband, Rusty Wickwire?
We've been married 18 years, together 26, 27.
Okay. And so have you been aware of your husband's relationship with his sister during the entire 26, 27 years that you've had a relationship with him?
Yes.
Okay. So we've made specific allegations and we're going to go through those, but let's talk about, is there a habit or a routine practice of how his relationship has been with his sister during the entirety of your experience with both your husband and Miss Leatherman?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. It follows the same pattern over and over and over again?
Yes.
Okay. What generally, what is that, the practice of that relationship?
I would say even back when I considered that they somewhat got along, she was always trying to make him angry, get some sort of reaction out of him. Always how he does everything wrong, very negative person.
Okay. And this,
Your Honor, I guess I'm going to object to the so-called habit or routine or generalities. I think this has got to be based on facts of a PPO nature. So I object to this type of hearing. It's so general you can't cross-examine on it or pin it down.
Well, Mr. Smith, if you can further, I guess you say, specify as to the conduct, because we don't want to be chasing generalities that, Mr. Shaver can't cross-examine on.
certainly, Your Honor. Can I respond though?
Sure.
All right. The habit and routine practice obviously is admissible testimony under the court rules. But yes, I will go through the specific allegations.
Well, I guess I'd clarify that under the rules of evidence it is.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yep. Okay. All right. All right. And Mr. Wickwire, that predates you guys actually living by each other.
Correct.
All right. And as Miss Leatherman testified last time, you guys lived in your house and then she moved in later. Is that true?
Correct.
All right. How long have you lived in your home?
We moved in there November of 2012.
Okay. When did she move in?
Sometime springish of this year.
Of 23.
Yes.
Okay. All right. All right. Your husband made a bunch of different allegations here. They're dated but not numbered, so we'll go by the date. And you may have information about all of these, maybe have some of them, so we're just going to go through. So I'll ask you what you can contribute as we touch on each one. There's an allegation about something that happened on September 11, 2023 that involves some spare RV tires.
Correct.
All right. Are you familiar with the tires?
Yes.
All right. Where did your husband keep those tires?
Kind of like outside of our pole barn, like right at the property line. It was used to protect like the post that's there so people didn't back into it out of her driveway.
Okay.
But they are the spare tires for our RV. If we have a flat, they're right there for us to grab and have them switched.
Okay. And I know the judge has heard this, but it's been a little bit. So your lots are right next to each other. Is that right?
Correct.
All right. And they're on a lake?
Yes.
And you both have lake frontage?
Correct.
All right. And then your house is on the opposite side of the road as your lake lot?
Correct.
All right. You own
on both sides
property on both sides of the road?
Correct.
Okay. And then Miss Leatherman's house is actually on the lake side of that road?
Yes.
So even though the lots are right next to each other, the houses are not right next to each other. Her house is within your field of vision as you look at the lake.
Yeah, kind of kitty corner.
All right. All right. And so these where's your pole barn then? Is it which side of the street? Is it lake side or the other side?
The other side.
Okay, the house side of you.
Correct.
So your pole barn is right next to your house. On the opposite side of the street is Miss Leatherman's house.
Correct.
Okay. All right. And there was your husband then piled what, 2 or 4 tires tall?
We had
tires tall?
We had 3 good tires that were spares for our RV.
Okay. And were they piled 3 high?
Yes.
Okay. And were they covering up some type of a post you just said?
It was like beside the post.
What's the post?
It's like a fence post, what you would put like barbed wire or whatever, like the old fashioned metal fence post.
So there's a fence post in the ground, but there's no fence.
Correct.
All right. And so to protect that, your husband put 3 tires over top of it?
Beside of it, correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still on our property line.
And how close is it to the property line?
That I couldn't tell you for sure. I mean, it's pretty close. There's not a whole lot of room between where our property is, and she also owns property on that side of the road as well.
Okay. But these tires are on your property?
Correct.
All right. And do you know where are those tires now? Do you know?
2 of them are still there. The third one somehow ended up in her driveway that's on the non-lake side of the road. And since there's no trespassing, we obviously could not retrieve it. And she rolled it into her pole barn, and I have no idea what she did with it.
And how do you know that she did these things?
Because when we were like, hey, there's a tire missing, we checked security camera footage.
Okay, you have camera footage of her removing this tire.
Correct.
All right. And she testified about this during the last hearing, did she not?
Yes, I believe so.
And how long has that tire been missing?
Since sometime early September-ish.
And you've not gotten that tire back?
No.
All right. Have you reported that to the police?
Yes.
The next allegation is about something that happened on July 29, 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
And you were having some type of a get together at your home?
Yes.
All right. Were you there?
Yes,
Did you see Miss Leatherman during this incident?
I did.
All right. Did she attempt to, and I know what the allegation says here, and I'm going to ask some questions that may or may not will help the court decide what weight to give this.
Okay.
Did she attempt to communicate with you or anybody at your party during this incident?
Not to my knowledge, not to me. I don't know if she attempted to communicate with anybody else, but several people ask why she's just sitting up there staring at all of us down at the lake. It was making.
No, I'm going to object if it's being offered with the truth of the matter. Be hearsay.
Court will sustain the objection.
So you saw the way Miss Leatherman was behaving?
Yes,
Okay. But at the same point, she wasn't communicating with anybody.
correct.
Okay. Did it make you feel uncomfortable?
It did.
Okay. All right. And then how long was she there staring at your party?
I believe the party was 4 to 5 hours long, and she was there, I believe, just about the entire time.
Okay. There's the third allegation is on July 26, 2023, that the police were called. That's what the allegation is, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with that? What happened on that day?
Yes.
All right.
Rusty and our youngest were trying to plant some more of the trees that were addressed in the other issue before we left for dinner. And as we were leaving, we passed an officer from the security cameras. He went to our house. We're assuming she called.
Okay. So you're assuming that she called.
Correct.
Do you know whether she called the police?
No, I don't.
Okay. Did you see anything that would have led you to believe that the police had any role at your house that day?
No.
You didn't see any crime being committed?
No, Rusty got home and was only home 10, 15 minutes and we were leaving.
Okay. All right. And then the fourth allegation is something that happened on June 28, 2023. That an officer came to the home again?
Correct.
All right. Are you familiar with what happened on that day?
Supposedly she had an attempted break-in. And
Your Honor, I guess I'm going to object unless there's a foundation laid from her personal knowledge. It sounds like a speculation.
Okay. Mr. Smith, any response?
Your Honor, I'll continue to question her. I'm not, I'll rephrase.
Okay, move on.
Yeah. All right. Did the police come out to the house again that day?
yes.
All right. And did they question you?
No.
All right. Do you know who called the police? And if you do, how do you know?
From what my youngest son told me that
Okay,
the cop.
okay.
Objection.
So you know that the
Sustained.
officer told you what happened. That's your only source of information, right?
The officer would never return our call when I called to
Okay.
find out what was said to my 13-year-old son.
Okay. So you don't know whether Miss Leatherman called the police on that date or not?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Did you see anything that would have warranted the police being called? Did you see a crime being committed or anything like that?
No.
Okay. The next allegation is on June, this is just generally of June of 2023. There was something to the effect of the allegation about Miss Leatherman coming out of the house and yelling about trees being planted.
Yes.
Were you there? Do you know anything about what happened on that day?
Yes.
Okay. What's your source of information? Did you see something or hear something?
Once again, Rusty was attempting to plant the trees.
How do you know?
Oh, because I was there that
Okay.
day.
Okay. Good.
Mhm.
All right.
I was at the house.
Your Honor, I guess I'm going to object just to this allegation. I think this goes back to the easement problem that we had on the other hearing. And I think Your Honor's ruling was that the quarrel about the meaning of the easement and so forth was not going to be subject to the PPO. And I would ask that.
Well, and I'm not going to address any of the issues on the easement, but I guess the court can consider it a conduct. So, Mr.
Okay.
Smith, you can proceed.
Okay. So this
It's not hers.
You gotta stop, Rusty. All right, Miss Leatherman, or Mrs. Wickwire, tell us what you witnessed that day.
Rusty and I believe my oldest went down to start planting the trees.
Okay,
I
where
was-
were they planting?
Our property down by the lake, on the lake side, but it was on our property, not the easement section.
So how far was it from the property line then, approximately?
I believe we're planting them all a minimum of 4 foot from the property line, so our root system does not go onto her property at all.
Okay, and why were you planting these?
Privacy.
Okay, and you saw this being done, the planting?
Yes.
Okay,
And then I walked down there
and what else did you see?
and she came out yelling at him about how he's not supposed to be planting anything. He kept working and she just kept yelling at him, calling him names and telling him he can't plant.
Okay, and over how long did this continue?
That one was pretty short. I would say probably only about 5 minutes or so. And then she went back up to the house.
Okay, and what names was she calling him?
That day, I believe it was just asshole jerk. I believe that day she did call him a pedophile as well.
And did you see this incident begin?
She was halfway across her yard heading down there when I was walking out of my garage. So I didn't hear everything in the very beginning.
Okay, all right. But you witnessed the 5 minutes though?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, and again, who was there for that?
That one I believe was me and Rusty, my oldest son, his girlfriend, and her 2 cousins from out of town.
Okay. And who was her comments directed to?
To Rusty.
Okay. All right, the next allegation is about something that happened on May 24th, 2023. It's an allegation about you and Rusty in your pole barn.
Mhm.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
And is that the same allegation that we heard testimony about at the last hearing?
Correct.
Okay.
Mhm.
And this is tell us what happened.
Rusty and I were going out to our pole barn. We have like a party room up above. It was right before the long weekend. We were planning to take the whole next day off. So we decided to go out there and hang out. As he was going out our little garage door, he turned to say something to me and she started screaming at him about, why do you still live here? Calling him an asshole, asking why her dog constantly barks at her pole barn.
Okay. And is this the same pole barn you were just testifying about with regard to the tires and everything else?
Yes.
Okay. So that's on your side of the street?
Correct.
It's right next to your house?
Yes.
All right. And then where was she when she was making these comments to your husband?
Like kind of down by the dirt parking lot in front of her pole barn.
Okay. So was she in the street or was she on her side of the street, her house's side of the street, the lake side of the street?
The street.
Okay. So she was
Well,
go ahead.
I'd have to like draw a picture, I guess, but the road goes through here. She's got the pole barn and there's a little parking area beside of it. And then it goes our pole barn, our house.
So is she on her property? Was she
She
in the
was on
street?
her property.
Okay, perfect. All right. And how long did that continue? Did she do that?
That one was another probably 2-3 minutes or so. And then she went inside and she did call the cops on us that night.
Again, I would object unless a proper foundation is laid, Your Honor.
Sustained.
All right, there's an allegation about something that happened on April 30th of 2023. And were you aware of that situation?
Yes.
All right. An allegation again of having something to do with an argument about trees and everything else.
Yes.
All right. Can you tell us what happened on April 30th, 2023?
Rusty had wanted to plant more trees. So he started putting up little posts with the stringer line so we could have a straight line of trees. And she came out yelling about how, once again, he's planting. These were on our property, had nothing to do with the easement. She did take the poles and I don't remember if Rusty called the police or if she did, but they came.
All right, let's stop right there.
Okay.
So this is again on your property. This would be on the lakeside.
Correct.
All right, so across the street from your house, on your essentially your lake lot.
Yes.
All right, and then your husband was planting trees just like he was in the allegation you already testified about?
Right. We haven't ever gotten to finish them because she calls the cops and then they say it's a civil thing and we don't know if we're really allowed to or not because she calls the cops on them and.
So this was is essentially this is the second time where he tried to plant trees in the same place?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
All right. And then he wanted to plant a row of trees?
Correct.
All right. So then there was stakes in the ground with basically a line to make sure that the row was a straight row.
Right.
All right. So this wasn't a survey or anything like that?
No,
Okay.
no,
And where were these stakes in the ground? On whose property were those?
on our property.
Okay. And did you see her do anything with regard to those? Were they stakes or poles?
Yeah. Metal poles that, he just needed a little bit to run the line.
Okay. So
So,
approximately a foot tall poles that he knocked into the ground to,
yeah, maybe 2 foot or so. I'm not good with measurements, but maybe about 2 foot.
okay. And what did he do with those? What did she do, Miss Leatherman, do with those poles?
She yanked them out and took those along with the stringer and put them on her property once again where we could not retrieve them.
How did she get proper stakes that are knocked into the ground on your property?
She pulled them out.
So how did she pull them out? Did she come on your land to do that?
Well, because of the easement, she was on the easement and was able to pull the stakes.
But your land, it's your land.
Correct.
Did she come on your land to do
Yes.
that? Did you see her do that?
Yes.
Okay.
Your Honor, I think we're into the easement issue here. We hear it's on the easement, regardless of whose land it is. It's an easement subject to another litigation. So this is the same sort of thing we've heard before about easement discrepancies. So I'm
not going to address the easement, but if she testified as she did that she reached or she got onto their property and pulled out the stakes, the court will consider that.
I believe that was her testimony, Your Honor. Thank you. And did she say anything as she did that?
That to be honest, I can't remember. I'm sure there probably was, but it happens so frequently, I can't remember.
Was there any verbal, regardless of whether you can remember what was said, was there any verbal confrontation that happened as that occurred, or was it completely silent?
Oh, no. When she first came out, she was yelling about, you can't be planting, you can't do this.
Okay. All right. And the next allegation is about something that happened in the summer of 2023 when she was walking down Cotton Lake Road.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes.
And who owns Cotton Lake Road?
Well, there's several different houses, but we have a house, the address is actually 6 Mile, but we own two the private road.
Okay. So but who owns that road? All the property owners?
Yeah, I don't even know how many houses for sure down the road.
Okay, so but all the property owners own that private road?
Correct.
Okay. It's not a public roadway?
No.
If you know, has Miss Leatherman ever been forbidden from going on that private road?
Rusty's told her that
How do you know that?
I wasn't with them, but
Okay.
he told me about a time he told her.
I will
Okay.
object.
That
to
was-
your
I will ask him
about
about
before.
that. I will ask him.
Sustained.
Okay. All right. And do you know whether she was on that date or in that approximate date, she was going down that road? Do you know that?
That I don't know.
Okay. All right. And are you familiar with all the pleadings that your husband drafted here?
Yes.
All right. And they go back to, oh my goodness, they go back to 2014. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And that's, you've obviously been around for that whole time.
Correct.
Okay. And you've already testified that the nature of the relationship has been consistent throughout your entire relationship with your husband.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I'm not going to ask you dated allegations. I think we've covered that generally. So, Your Honor, I don't have any other questions of this witness. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Schaefer, a cross-examination.
In relation to the Cottonwood Road, how do you know who owns the road?
I'm sorry, it owns what?
How do you know who owns the road?
Because it's a private road. It's the same as like the road that we currently live on. You own the road in front of your house.
So you own the road in front of your house along with Miss Leatherman? Is that what you're saying?
On our current address, yes.
Who owns the Cottonwood Road?
Cotton Lake Road, my husband and I own a house.
My question is, who owns the road?
The people who have property on the road.
And who are they?
I don't know all of their names.
And are you aware whether or not Miss Leatherman had permission from any of those owners to be on that road?
I have no idea.
Okay. And did you see her on the road?
No,
Well, then what do you you have no personal knowledge about the Cottonwood Road allegation then, is that correct?
just what we own of it.
Okay. And how do you own it?
It's a house that we used to live in that we currently rent out.
Okay. In relation to the April 30th, 2023 events, the plantings that you are talking about, poles and the lines are on the easement, are they not?
No, they're on our property.
You realize that the easement is on your fee property, but it's an easement that she has access to?
Correct, but the
So
trees
it
are
was
away
on
from
the
it.
easement, correct?
That, you know, that I can't be 100%.
Okay, and certainly pursuant to the easement agreement, she has the right to maintain that easement, correct?
Correct.
And your husband was planting on the easement part that was subject to this other litigation, correct?
No, the trees are on away from the easement.
How far
On
away?
the easement, the trees are on the left. If you're facing the lake, the left-hand side of the easement line.
The easement property was the property where Shan was at when this argument took place, correct?
It's cutting out a little bit. I'm sorry, I didn't catch.
All right, I'll repeat it. When you made your observation, was Shan on the easement area?
I don't know for sure if it was the easement or our property, but the trees are on our property.
Certainly, well, she didn't pull your trees out, did she?
No,
Okay, and you agree she has a right?
was that?
If you can't hear me.
You cut out a little bit, Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. If I'm cutting out, I'll be more distinct. You agree that Shan has the right to be on the easement?
Correct, the easement.
Okay, thank you. The May 24th, 23 incident, Shan was on her property, is that correct?
Correct.
And your husband was yelling at her also, was he not?
Yes, as I said, it was a mutual argument.
And you had testified before that he was using vulgar language to her at that time, is that correct?
Yeah, just like she was using towards him.
And on that incident, Shan was not on your property, correct?
No.
All right. The June 2023 incident was another planting incident. Again, had to do with the easement and where the planting took place. Is that correct?
I don't know what her issue was with it. We were planting trees on our property.
On the easement, and she was on
No,
the
the trees
easement,
are
not on
planted.
your property, correct?
The trees are planted on the other side of her easement. It doesn't interfere with her easement at all.
Okay. Your June 28th incident that you talked about, when the officer came, you're saying you saw it on your video?
Yes, our security cameras.
Didn't see it in person, is that correct?
We passed the officer still on Lyman Drive as we were leaving. Yes,
On Lyman Drive, you did not see him at your house.
just on the security cameras.
All right. And you have no knowledge as to why he was there. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay. On the July 26, 23 incident, again, were you talking about that's when you passed the officer, or was it the June 28th incident?
I'm sorry. I don't understand the question, I guess.
Well, in response to my other question, I was talking about the June 28th incident you testified. You said you passed an officer, but you also said you passed an officer on the July 26th. So did you pass an officer twice or once?
Without looking at the notes, I need more information about the dates. There's so many times.
So is it fair to state you don't really know at this point in time?
If I checked my security cameras and stuff, I would be able to tell you better.
My question is, as you sit there today, do you know if on the 28th of June you passed an officer on live?
It looks like he froze up. Your Honor, it looks like Mr. Schaefer's camera's frozen.
Yeah, I will let him, it should come back here shortly.
Schaefer?
Mr. Schaefer, you froze up for a while, so I don't know. I don't know if you're trying to say something or if you're just doing a cameo there for us.
No, Judge, you did too, and so did Mr. Smith. Everybody
Okay.
froze up.
Okay.
Okay, so let me start over. My question to you is, as you sit there today, do you recall on the June 28th, 2023 incident that you passed an officer on Lyman Drive?
June 28th, I don't believe I did. I think that's the issue where the officer talked to my cop. I'm sorry if I got the dates confused there with your original question.
All right, so if you said you did on the June 28th, that's not correct. Is that right?
No, we did not pass an officer on June 28th.
Okay. Did you pass an officer on July 26th?
Correct.
All right. Did you see an officer at your home on July 26th?
On our security cameras, yes.
In person, did you see him at your home?
No, because we were not home.
Okay. On all of the incidents that you were not asked about there in the petition, you said you were, do you have personal knowledge to each of these?
It cut out for a quick second again then. You said all the allegations.
All right. Okay. All of the allegations that Mr. Smith did not ask you about. You said you were familiar with the petition. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you have any personal knowledge as to any of those allegations?
The ones that I was there for, yes.
Okay. Which ones did you have personal knowledge of?
Am I okay?
Going into the old stuff.
Yeah. Anytime we've planted the trees.
I got it on. Is there somebody else talking there? Is he getting prompt from somebody else? I guess I inquire who else is in the room.
I think it's the petitioner, and I'd ask the petitioner to remain quiet while someone else is testifying.
Yeah. Personal knowledge. Any of the tree planting stuff from this summer that when we've tried to plant trees.
Okay, let me stop you. Which incident by date are you referring to?
Well, the April, I believe it was April, was when we first began planting the trees.
Well, you've already testified about, I'm talking about the ones you did not testify about.
Okay, the ones I did not testify about.
Do you have any personal knowledge as to any of those allegations?
I think we stop here. So
Anything deeper
everything,
than that?
these are all the allegations. He's
Okay.
asking you whether you have any personal information about the stuff from where I stopped through the end.
Through the end.
So just
Okay.
go on by line by
All
line.
right, all right. I need just a moment. Well, I do know that we weren't given the information about where his parents were buried at in the cemetery.
Okay, could you give me the identifying date so I can?
Start with the date and then.
Spring of 2022.
Any other ones you have personal knowledge of?
The May of 2021, when she had our dumpster removed, she called our garbage company at the time
Or how do you know she called it?
because they told me on the phone.
So other personal knowledge, do you know that she called?
No, I was not with her when she called my garbage company.
Okay. All right. Any other ones you have personal knowledge of?
I was there for the summer of 2021 when trying to get the lot lines from the settlement agreement straightened out. And she was screaming at Rusty that he was a rapist and a pedophile and killed his parents.
Well, is your husband a pedophile?
No,
He's been convicted of CSC, has he not?
that's been cleared.
Objection. If there's a case that's been set aside, according to law, he's been treated like he's never convicted. Absolutely not been convicted.
I asked her the question of the witness, and I haven't heard an answer.
Well, if again, only as it relates to admissible evidence, Mr. Schaefer.
My question is your husband a pedophile?
No,
Did he sexually assault a minor?
no.
Any other ones that you have personal knowledge of?
September of 2019, the private viewing for Rusty's mom. The times of that was changed, so my family missed the personal viewing.
Okay. No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Anything redirect, Mr. Smith?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Wickwire, that will conclude your testimony. You're excused. Have a good day. Next
Thank
witness, Mr. Smith.
Your Honor, I'd call my client.
Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
All right, Mr. Wickwire, these are all your allegations?
Yes, they
All
are.
right, you wrote all these?
I didn't.
Okay, the first one is on September 11, 2023. There's an allegation that your sister, Shan Leatherman, stole the spare RV tire.
Yes, she did.
All right, how do you know what she did?
I watched the video.
Okay,
I'm
and
going to object as to hearsay.
Okay, how is that? Clarify for me, Mr. Shaver, how it's hearsay.
He is testifying from something that's not into evidence that as to the truth of the matter, and he did not personally see it.
Mr. Smith, your response.
Your Honor, the out-of-court statement offered for the truth of the matter asserted is the definition of hearsay. There's been no statement that he's mentioned, so this is not hearsay because it's not a statement.
It's being offered as to the truth of the matter of something it's the same thing as reading a book or a treatise and then regurgitating what the treatise might say.
Well, I think at least the court would look at that a little bit differently, and that again, those happen to be words. This was observation through a video. I'm going to allow the testimony.
All right, Mr. Wickwire, you testified about this at the last hearing, and the court's already considered this, but
Yes.
you have various cameras in your property, is that right?
Yes.
All right, you have some that shoot out the front of your house towards the lake?
Yes.
And does some of those images, that footage capture Miss Leatherman's property as it casts a wide net towards the lake?
Yes.
All right, and you also have cameras that are close to the lake towards your house?
Yes.
All right, and was that the camera that captured what you're talking about?
Yes.
All right, and how does it give you? How do you review the footage? How do you view the images?
Go back and watch the replays.
Okay, is it captured? Is it digitally captured?
It's digitally captured. It goes back. That one goes back, I don't know, 6-8 months. My house cameras go back like a year and a half.
And what caused you to review that? To take a look at the video of that particular camera at that particular time?
I was coming on my way home from work, and I noticed one of my tires were missing. And I've already had other stuff come up missing in my yard. So I went back, and it took me a little while, but I went back and started reviewing, and the tire was there Friday night, and then it was not there Saturday morning. I didn't see anything on the camera who moved it. And then 2 days later, I see Shan pick it up and roll it into her garage and then shut her garage.
You saw that on video.
Saw it on video,
Right.
and my pictures are a little rough that I.
Okay. All right. And she testified that at the last hearing, right?
Yes.
Right. And she admitted that at the last hearing, did she not?
Well, she denied and then admitted it.
Okay. And she also indicated she had never given you that tire back at the last hearing.
Yes.
All right. And she did that under oath while she was testifying.
Yes.
All right. Have you gotten that back since this last hearing?
Have not.
Okay. So the tire that she admitted she took at the last hearing, you still have not gotten back.
Have not got back.
So this is the allegation. This first allegation is something that was covered completely at our last hearing.
Yes.
All right. The next allegation you make is about something that happened on July 29, 2023.
Yes.
And there was some type of party going on your lake lot, meaning the lot that you own next to Miss Leatherman's house on the lakeside.
Yes.
All right. And you made an allegation that Miss Leatherman was essentially staring at you from her house during that party.
Yes.
All right. Why does it bother you that she was at her own house, not attempting to communicate with you or your visitors?
Why did it bother me?
Yeah.
Because one, I just had a PPO put on me. I don't know what she's capable of. I actually missed half the birthday party. I was supposed to do some other stuff down there, but I didn't want to do any cooking because you can cook on one side of my boathouse. And I didn't want to do any cooking, so I ended up ordering pizza for the people that are down there. They questioned me. I wanted to stay out of sight because of the PPO, because we were still going through court and that kind of stuff with it. And I didn't even go out on the lake. I let somebody else take my boat out. He has a boat of his own, but it just hasn't been there. And it was just, I didn't feel comfortable but down there, man, because I just don't understand why she hates me so bad and why she wants to do this stuff.
So,
I don't get it.
But why? So she didn't try to communicate with you.
No, she just sat there and hammered in nails on her deck and just stared at us. And I've never seen her on her deck before.
And why do you feel like that was her harassing you? Why do you feel that?
Just watching me to see if I guess step on the easement, and then the easement is only a triangle, and in a court agreement it flat out says it's only for use of the maintain and use of the drain, not use for your own personal taking care of it or walking out or during that.
So your interpretation, and I'm going to move on, but your interpretation is that you were worried she was attempting to watch you, so to try to get you in trouble. That's what you were worried about.
That's what I was worried about.
Okay, and that's why you put it here.
That's why I put it down.
Okay, I get it. All right. On July 26, 2023, which is the third allegation, you accuse her of calling the police on you. How do you know that?
She was talking to her husband on his Bluetooth with his radio. He had his window down, and I heard it when I was coming past him.
Heard what?
I heard that, don't worry about it. I got a PPO on him. The cops will be here soon.
Okay, so you heard her admit that she called the police. Okay.
Objection. A leading question. That's not what he said.
Okay. I'll look at the question.
Get clarification, Mr. Smith.
Did you hear her say anything other than what you just said?
No.
Okay. And had you committed any crime that day?
Not that I know of, but I don't know what the rules are of the PPOs.
No, this is on July 26th.
I know she did the PPO. That's when she did the PPO. Come to find out, it was 3 days before this. Is when the judge signed. It was on Monday or Tuesday. This was Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember exactly. I'd have to look at the calendar, but it was Wednesday, Thursday. Because it was actually Wednesday because we went out to the. Anyways, it was Wednesday. So on Tuesday, the judge signed it. Monday or Tuesday, it signed. I don't remember. And her husband was sitting in the driveway with his window down, his Bluetooth on because he had it going through his truck. She was in the house. You could see her up in the front window, and they're sitting there talking back and forth, and I could hear it via the radio.
Had you been served with the PPO as of July 26, 2023?
No.
Okay, so you were unaware. Legally, it had been filed, but you were unaware of it because you'd not been given.
Unaware of it, and then
you got to answer my question.
Yes, okay. I was unaware of the PPO.
I get it. The next allegation number 4 is June 28, 2023. There's an allegation that essentially she called the police on you again. How do you know that that's true?
Because the officer actually called me and started questioning me about this.
Okay. Is it your information that there was a the investigation involving a break-in at her house?
Yes.
All right. Have you ever broke into her house?
Nope.
All right. If, does she have camera footage?
She has camera footage on, no.
Or
Oh,
does she have
she has
security
cameras.
cameras?
I don't know if she has camera footage, but it
Okay.
seemed like with all the cameras on 3 walls of her house and everywhere, that she would be able to catch somebody break into her house.
Okay. And you have security cameras, as you already testified to?
Yes.
All right. So if you broke into her house, it very likely would be captured by her security cameras and your security cameras.
Yes.
The next allegation is on June 23, or just generally June of 2023. It's something about her coming to her house and yelling at you about trees.
Yes.
All right. So it's kind of confusing here because you make allegations and the most recent comes later. So there's an allegation later where you're trying to plant some trees again. Is that right?
I've tried to plant trees 3 or 4 times.
Okay, so let's just talk about the trees generally here, even though we might be covering more than one allegation. How long have you been trying to plant trees?
3 years.
Okay, and how many times have you tried to do that during that 3-year span?
5, 6.
Okay, and where were you trying to plant those trees?
I'm trying to make a bush row or a shield fence, whatever you want to call it, between my property and her property.
Okay, and where on your property are you trying to plant those trees?
Some are on my property and some are on the easement property, which is still all my property.
Okay.
And this is where everybody's getting confused, is nobody wants to look at how the easement is set up.
I don't want to get into that just, but these are down by the lake. Is that right?
Some are down by the lake and some are up by the road.
Okay, so 2 different locations on your property.
Well, time it's all done, it says it's gonna be 230 foot of my property,
Your intention is to plant a row of
all the way
bushes
down.
on the lake side, from basically the road all the way to the water, as close as you can get.
Yes,
And just kind of a barrier between yours and hers.
yes.
Okay. And has she ever interrupted you? I think there's 2 allegations that you've alleged. Has she ever interrupted you planting trees on your own property?
4 times.
Okay. And what did she do to interrupt you?
One is one of her renters called her the first time she just
So what did she do?
she came out and started yelling at me the first time that says I can't do that.
What did she do when she yelled at you? What did she say?
You son of a bitch, you need to stay off the easement. You can't plant there. You can't do anything on your property. And then she rips she's always ripped my markers out of the ground, which are some are on the easement and half of them are not on the easement, and she's still taking them down.
Okay, how does she get to property to markers or poles on your property that are not on the easement? How does she get those?
She walks over, steps on the property and starts jerking them out and pulling them out of the ground.
She walks right in your property and do that?
Yes.
Does it? And you've seen her do that?
I got a picture.
Okay, so you've seen her do that?
Yes.
Or that happened right in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, and that was on one occasion, all 4 occasions? How many times did that happen?
Well, 6 occasions, 5 occasions, 5 occasions. And the reason why I'm adding one in there is because she did it twice, even though the officer told her not to do it and to give me my property.
Again, Your Honor, I'm not sure where this is going. I think it's easement stuff, but we're getting hearsay what the officer told.
I'll sustain anything as it relates to any third parties and what they might have said.
And Mr. Wickwire, and the most recent one of those times that you just said is on June of 2023, the allegation number 5 on your petition.
Yes.
Okay. And then you make an allegation about something happened on May 24th, 2023.
Yes.
Now, you obviously heard your wife just testify. Is that the same incident that we went over in detail at the last hearing?
It is.
All right. And how did Miss Leatherman respond to you on that occasion? What did she do?
Yells at me and asks me why I haven't moved out of my house yet.
Okay. Where was she when she said that to you?
She was in her driveway, in the road, and in the dirt driveway at the garage.
Okay. And did she call you any names?
Yes.
What was the level of her voice? Was she speaking? Was she yelling? Was she whispering?
I'm sure the neighbors heard us.
You gotta answer my question.
Loud.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And then you make an allegation about something happened on April 30th, 2023. That has to do with trees again. Is that what you just testified to? Another time you were trying to plant trees?
That's another time where she tried to plant trees. on my easement and off my easement. The easement, okay, there's a lot of gray area and you guys don't want to get into it, which I'm okay with that. But when it's 30 foot away from the easement and she's on my property, taking property off my property and taking it and throwing it away or whatever.
Well, I don't want you to make an argument. Was she 30 feet away from your easement?
Yes, she was 30 foot away from the easement.
Okay, so the trees that you were planting when you were talking about the allegation on April 30th, 2023, is that a yes?
Yes.
Okay, were 30 feet from the easement.
The trees were not 30 feet from the easement where my poles were at, because I haven't made it back to that far planting trees. Some of my stakes and my marker lines to run a straight line, so that way I don't get on her property or nothing like that, because I'm not going to set property.
We understand.
I'm just not going to, no.
Some of the you finish your sentence.
Some of the poles are away from it, and that's the poles she ripped down.
So the poles that she ripped down on that occasion
Yes.
were 30 feet away from the easement.
Yes.
Okay. What did she say anything when she did that?
I'm a son of a bitch and I shouldn't be doing anything, and I'm a pedophile and everything else she wants to call me.
Did she flip you off?
Yeah, she always flips me off.
Okay.
Even
Well, you
after
made
this-
that allegation here. Did that happen?
Yeah, she flips me off.
Okay. All
She
right.
flipped me off then.
All right. All right. The next allegation, so it'd be on the second page, the second one down, summer of 2023. There's an allegation about something that happened on Cotton Lake Road.
Yes.
What is Cotton Lake Road?
Cotton Lake Road is our old property, is the size of our property, and there's the marker there that is we own to the other side of Cotton Lake Road. Cotton Lake Road is a private road, just like what we live on. The people on the road have to pay for maintenance.
Right.
They have to do all that stuff.
It's not a public road.
It's
right?
not a public
It's
road.
owned by the homeowners on that road.
It is.
Okay. Is Shan Leatherman a homeowner on that road?
She is not.
Okay. Are you a homeowner on that road?
I am.
All right. Did you ever give her permission to come on that road?
I did not.
Did you ever forbid her from coming on that road?
I have.
All right. Do you know whether she's gotten permission to come on that road from any of the other homeowners?
Not that I know of in the last few weeks,
Okay.
but I do know that she testified last time that she didn't have permission.
All right. You make an allegation about something that happened in the spring of 2022 about stuff in your yard. What stuff in your yard was a source of controversy in the spring of 2022?
She didn't like our dumpsters. She didn't like any of where we put our trash receptacle. She doesn't like that I have some handful of items outside my garage that she doesn't like, so she called the township.
Are all these on your property?
They are all on my property.
And were you cited for any?
Township wouldn't even call me back when I called them and asked them what they were talking
Were you
about.
cited?
No,
You were not given a citation for any
no,
debris in your yard or anything like that?
no citation.
Okay, all right. All right. I know that I've been trying to kind of keep this more recent, but Mr. Schaefer inquired about something that happened in the spring of 22 involving your parents. Suffice to say that there was a disagreement involving your parents and and where they're going to be buried. That was another source of controversy that you take issue with. Is that right?
Your Honor, I'm going to object as to the relevancy to the PPO staff.
give me a break.
I don't think it applies.
How is this relevant, Mr. Smith?
Your Honor, I tried to stay away from it. Mr. Schaefer questioned Miss Wickwire about it, and then I asked about it, and now it's irrelevant. I mean, yeah, good.
Let's
I
move
agree
on.
that it's not relevant. I avoided it. He didn't.
Okay, well, the court
It's their petition, Your Honor, so I need to defend the petition.
okay. Court doesn't need this information, so let's move on.
All right. Mr. Wickwire, I'm going to ask you some more general questions so that we can be done with this. What this is your relationship with your sister been similar to this, what you've already testified to for a long time?
For a long time.
Okay. And why did you feel it necessary to file a personal protection order and give the court all this information that goes back with your sister for such a long time? Why did you do that?
Why did I go back so far?
No, why did you file this? What's the problem that you want to tell the judge about?
The problem that I want to be left alone, plain and simple. The mental stress of all this stuff that just goes on and on and on and on and on, and the lying, and then you run into people and you're like, well, heard this and that, and trying to destroy my business and all kinds of stuff that I've heard. And I'm just sick of it. You know what? She won the court case. I'm okay with that. She won it. I guess she deserves it. And I guess my parents hate me. My mom,
Okay, we're not talking about that.
yeah, but it's the mental stress of all this stuff. I can't do it no more. I'm done.
Okay.
And then she has 2 different houses or 3 different houses. And then she has
Okay, let's keep it relevant to this proceeding.
All right. Your Honor, I think he's answered the question. I don't have any other question for him.
Okay. Mr. Schaefer, any cross-examination?
Yes. Apparently you have a lot of animosity toward your sister. Is that correct?
I just want to be left alone, sir.
Can you answer the question? Do you have animosity toward your sister?
I have as much as she has against me.
Answer his question.
Yes. I do.
What was your answer? Yes, you do have
Yes,
animosity.
I do. Yes, I do.
And it's festered on a lot of irrelevant things, such as you getting cut out of your parents' will and whatever, and you're upset about that, correct?
No, I could care less.
Doesn't care about it. Okay, good. On Cottonwood Lane, you have no personal knowledge whether or not Shan had permission to walk on that road, do you?
My personal knowledge, the last time we were in court, she said she did not have permission from anybody last time. Now, she might have got it since then. I don't know. I've talked to a couple of the neighbors there that say no.
We'll dispute what you're saying, but you don't have any personal knowledge that she didn't have permission from somebody else to be on that road.
No.
And when was it you saw her on the road?
I saw her on the road when I left my house in the morning on my way to work.
What date were on the road?
Was it 23rd or 26th or something?
He's referring to that allegation.
Yeah.
Okay, wait a minute. Judge, I don't think there should be any prompting at this point in time. He's a witness.
Well,
It was Thursday morning.
I think he was attempting to assist him and give him the, the dates or what had happened. So let's move on. I've heard all this before at the prior hearings, so it's very redundant. So let's move on.
All right. Your July 29th issue, you are saying that because your observation is that she's staring at you from her property, that's grounds for a PPO? Is that your position?
When I'm scared to come out of my house because I don't know what's going to happen, that's what I'm worried about, sir.
You said that you viewed your videos, and one day you saw your tire on your pile by your pole barn. The next day you see it over on Shane's property. Did I understand you correctly?
It was on my pile, and then next thing you know, it's laying down, and I don't know how I got there. I don't know if one of her people hit it or what.
All right. You're not telling us that you viewed a video where you saw Shan on your property carrying away a tire. Is that correct?
From where the camera lays, you can't tell if it's laying on her property or mine.
Can you answer that question?
You can't tell if it's on her
video that you saw Shan carry away a tire.
Yes, I seen her carry away her tire.
You saw her on your property. Is that correct?
I can't tell you if it was on my property or hers.
Okay, I'll restate my question.
Okay.
Did you see Shan on your property picking up a tire and taking it off your pile?
I seen my tire roll across her property.
Can you answer that question? Yes or no? You did or you didn't?
I can't tell if it's on my property or her property.
Okay.
From the camera video or from the camera angle.
Do you realize from the testimony before that your pile of stuff out there, including this tire, the tire gets over on her property and it lays there for a number of days?
I can't tell. Not from the angle. And I didn't see it laying in her yard.
You didn't go pick it back up and take it back on your pile?
Nope, I can't because she has trespass. I'll get hit with trespassing charges, sir.
Did you ever inquire through your attorney or anybody else that a tire be returned?
Yes.
When?
Last time we were in court.
When? How?
We asked her about the tire, and she denied that she even took it until we said we had video.
Okay,
And then we
listen to
asked
my
her if she
question.
returned it.
Listen to my question. Did you ever request of Shan to return a tire?
I guess if it ain't mine, I wouldn't keep it and put it in my garage.
Can you answer the question, please?
I don't remember.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Smith?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any other witnesses, Mr. Smith?
No, I think you have a clear understanding of the relationship. You've heard a lot of testimony.
Okay. Mr. Schaefer, any witnesses?
Yes, I'm going to call my client, please.
Go ahead, Mr. Schaefer.
You obtained a PPO against your brother, and it was signed by this judge after a hearing. Is that not true?
Yes.
And that was on September 27th of 2023.
Yes.
And you're answering this petition that was signed on October 5 of 2023. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
I guess the allegations are numerous, so I guess I'm obliged to go through them with you. Number one is the September 11th event about you're accused of stealing a tire. Did you ever steal a tire from your brother?
No, I did not steal a tire.
And was there a tire that ended up on your property?
Yes.
And
it laid there for 3 days.
And it did not get taken away, and it was on your property. Is that correct?
Correct.
And did you remove it and store it away?
Yes.
And
as far as I seen, it was garbage.
Okay. Did you think it was garbage?
Yes, I believed it was garbage. It was like if a milk carton or some garbage fell out of the garbage can and laid there, I'd pick it up. It's the same thing.
Okay. And did anybody ever?
I picked up garbage.
Okay. Did anybody, including Rusty, ever ask you to return a lost spare tire?
No.
Okay. The next allegation is July 29th. This is the steering episode. Were you home on that date?
Yes, I was.
What were you doing?
It was a rare day off that I have and it was a very nice day, and I was sitting on my back porch.
And did you ever?
No one was out. No
Go
one
ahead.
was out there nobody was out there when I was sitting out there in the beginning. Later on, they came, but am I supposed to leave my porch?
Okay, that's fine. When you went out on your porch, nobody was next door at your brother's. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Did you try to engage your brother or any other people that was at his home?
Nope.
On July 26th, you're accused of calling the police because they were knocking at his door as he looked on his videos. Did you do anything of calling the police and telling them to go out there on July 26th?
No.
The next allegation is June. Some allegation that your brother saw an officer on the street or at the door on his video. Did you have anything to do with making complaint against your brother on that occasion?
No, I did not.
In June of 2023, you're accused at yelling at your brother for planting trees, and he says on his property. Do you recall an incident in June of 23 about planting trees?
That one, I don't know. It just says June 23. I think he needs to be more specific. I don't know what he's talking about. I was gone for 2 weeks in June, or a week and a half to 2 weeks in June. So, I I don't know the date. I did call the police once because he was planting on the easement, which the easement agreement says no planting, no putting nothing, no building, no nothing, except for a
Okay,
lawnmower
so-
and a golf cart.
All right. So we've heard a lot of testimony about poles and trees and whatever else. Other than on the easement, have you ever trespassed over onto his property?
No. No, I have not.
So the only time that you have been on technically his property was the easement under the agreement that existed after litigation. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, correct.
His allegations on May 24th about yelling at him when he was at the pole barn. Do you recall that incident?
I remember that night.
Okay, tell us what happened.
I was in the house. My dog was starting to go crazy, like really crazy. So the first time I went outside and I turned the light on my garage. I have two smaller lights out there, but I turned the light on the garage because he kept barking and going. He went right for the garage. I went back inside. He started doing it again. So I went out. I took my dog.
Yep.
I'm sorry, my dog. My dog started
Okay.
barking crazy. There's a big front window in the front, and he sits there. He can see everything. So he started barking and walked back outside again. And as soon as I got into halfway across the street, my brother starts yelling at me and saying things to me. And so I started walking back. We did have a couple words, but I do have video of all of it.
Okay, but was this instigated by your brother, the yelling
Yes.
back and forth?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Okay. The next allegation is April 30th. Another tree planting incident. Again, let me ask you, did you ever go on his property other than on the easement itself?
No, I did not.
And did you ever pull any property from his property other than what was on the easement?
No, I have not taken anything from his property. And actually, some of the poles are in the wrong place, but that's an easement issue.
All right. And when he is saying, and I'm not quite sure when it was, but something to the effect that he was 30 feet from the easement. Have you ever been 30 feet onto his property from the easement?
No, and I don't have any idea what he's talking about at all. There's no, it's not like his property, then the easement. There's an easement between us because of the drain. That's it. And I gave him that property and said, all I need is an easement and nothing can be put on it. It's like a no man's land because of that drain. And he knows that.
Okay.
There are dry wells. There's,
Okay.
But
But
let's
general
move
question
on.
though,
I'm so tired of hearing about this easement.
me too.
so you have not been on his property
No,
at
I
all
haven't.
other than the easement? Okay, very
No.
good.
Nope.
The next incident is in the summer of 23, the Cotton Lake Road. Have you walked on the Cotton Lake Road on September 23?
I walk it frequently. Yes, yes. And this is the day that he yelled at me. Yes.
Okay,
And
and where was he at when he yelled at you?
he was in his truck. He drove by me 2 times, came back the 3rd time, yelled at me and took off. And from what he stated from our previous court, he yelled at me, "Get off my property, you're trespassing." Well, I was on the road. I never went on his property. And if I was trespassing, why didn't he call the police on me then and
Well,
have me
anyway,
arrested if I was trespassing?
You know the other people that live on that road?
Yes, I know one other person that lives on that road.
And do you have permission from that person to walk on that road?
Yes, I do.
And who is that person?
They are Ashtons. They own a lot of farmland around there. They had purchased a house from my parents. So they know us, they know my family. Actually, they bought the house from my mom.
The
And they
last
gave
time,
me-
did you ever testify that you didn't have permission from anybody to be on that road?
We can't hear you, Mr. Schaefer.
I don't recall that at all, but I do not recall if I
Okay.
said or not. I have permission to walk up there. And honestly, people walk up and down our road all the time that do not live on our road.
Okay. Did you ever go on any property off of Cotton Lake Road that belonged to Rusty?
No.
I guess they didn't go into these other allegations. Have you instigated anything to harass your brother?
No. I want to be left alone. I want to be left alone to live my life and move on.
Since September 27th, when the judge has signed the people against your brother, has it been quieter out there between you and your brother?
It has been quieter.
Okay. At least at this point in time, your brother has not instigated any contact with you inappropriately based on the order?
No.
Okay. Do you believe that you've done anything that warrants a PPO against you?
Absolutely not.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Smith, any cross?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Leatherman, I do have some brief questions, may seem a bit attenuated from this proceeding, but I know that Judge Yost Johnson had recused herself in this matter. Are you familiar with Judge Yost Johnson?
I am not. I don't know who she is. I don't know who she is.
Okay. Have you had any interaction or any contact with her at any point?
Not that I recall.
Okay.
I was trying to think of that after the last one because I didn't even know she did that till you had said something that the first time. I don't know.
Okay, thank you. Any other witnesses, Mr. Schaefer?
No other witnesses.
Okay. Mr. Smith, any rebuttal?
No, Your Honor, just argument.
Okay. Mr. Smith, you can do your closing arguments then.
Thank you, Your Honor. The standard that the court has to follow is whether or not there's reasonable cause. Your Honor, you see more of these than anybody, not only PPO cases, but family law cases. This is not in any way a situation where there's an angel and a devil. This is a situation where two people have not gotten along for a long period of time, and there's been times where perhaps one has been the problem, and at times when perhaps the other one's been a problem. But you've heard from my client and his wife that Miss Leatherman is and you've already made a finding that my client has been a problem because you issued that PPO. And then again, I would remind the court that it was the court's comment that a mutual restraining order would be helpful or would be warranted if it was requested. Well, it is requested now. The idea that Miss Leatherman treated somebody's tire, which anybody who's bought tires know that they're not some they have a value, and they're not like some milk jug or whatever she said it was. She intentionally took his tire and won't give it back. And then Mr. Schaefer says, "Have you asked it?" No, I have a PPO against me. I can't ask. So give me a break. I mean, why did she do that? She did that to harass him. She knew it wasn't hers. She's had it for months now, at least 5, 6, 7 weeks, as he won't give it back. Why? To harass him, to make him mad. Why is she, engaging him in these arguments to make him mad? Why does she move next door to somebody who she's never gotten along with, after knowing he's been there for a decade, to make him mad? It goes on and on and on. And I agree that these two shouldn't have any contact with each other, but it's not because my client is the devil and she's an angel. No, at all. And there's hey, I'm an oldest child too, and there's nobody better at pushing my younger siblings' buttons than me. And that's exactly what's going on here. So I'm glad that things have calmed down. But the idea that my client should not be protected in his own home, when you've heard several allegations or several pieces of evidence that she has initiated confrontations with my client, has cursed at him just like he ends up cursing at her on other occasions. She keeps coming onto his property. I mean, I think the remedy for any type of the easement violation is circuit court litigation. It's not getting a personal protection order. I don't think that's what you found it on, but I think that that's a lot of what she's done. It's initiating contact, going onto their property to try to fight about this easement. So I it's to the extent where he should build a wall on that easement so that they could have a circuit court judge decide, that to whether or not it's still valid or not. Because this is crazy that this goes on here. Nobody wants to deal with this in their house, in their house or in their property. She does it, and neither does he. And you've heard again several substantiated, corroborated evidences of her picking arguments with him in the same way that you heard her testimony at the last hearing. We think it's absolutely proven that there's reasonable cause, which is a very low standard. And we ask that you grant his petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schaefer?
Well, I thought this was one of the most interesting petitions that I've seen on the PPO level. Probably 3/4 of it is totally irrelevant to any of the standards under the PPO statute. We're talking, one thing came clear, that Mr. Wickwire has great animosity toward his sister. And it apparently stems from irrelevant things as set forth in the petition, such as what his parents did with their estate, what allegations he made against my client of influencing the parents against Mr. Wickwire, which are all irrelevant to this petition, but it certainly sets the stage as to the animosity and the intent of why this petition was brought. This petition was brought on 10/5/23 after the court continued the PPO against him on 9/27/23. It is retaliatory action on his part. So he throws 14 allegations against the wall. They only argue the first 8 but again, one of the allegations is that my client is sitting on her porch, according to them, staring at the neighbor. That is not a PPO criteria at all. She has the right to be on her property. There is no indication, and it's refuted, that she has ever been on his property. There is a dispute about this easement, but I think the judge ruled on that last time, that easement issue is for another day and not subject of PPO. And that is what this whole thing is about that has been brought today, is the easement. My client is accused of something nefarious by walking down a road that is owned by a number of people. And there are people who walk down every private road. And there's no prohibition of walking down a private road. Going on private property, there's a prohibition. But the private road is open to the public to get from one place to another. That is totally spurious and totally vindictive on the part of the petitioner here. Your Honor, I don't think that there is a valid allegations or testimony to warrant a PPO. My client has never been offered a property. They have quarreled for years, but the instigation, at least from the testimony of my client, has been at Mr. Wickwire. Mr. Wickwire at the prior hearing admitted that he used vulgar language toward his sister, has for some period of time, has animosity toward his sister. This is just another effort to make life miserable for her. I think one positive out of this is that since your order at the end of September, there has been peace on the homeland. And I think that this is a knee-jerk reaction to go forward. But technically, there is not a basis for a PPO as set forth in the statute, including the stalking statute. It has to be part of the requirements of stalking under the statute, and they have not been proven at any level. And that's 750.2 411H and I, and I think it fails for lack of proof, Your Honor. And I ask the court to consider sanctions under the statute also, if in fact things are brought with bad intent and they're malicious, that they're sanctionable cost-wise. This has cost my client money to talk about and answer a lot of allegations that are totally irrelevant, not even brought forth on testimony at the hearing, and inappropriately brought. We're asking for actual attorney fees in this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, anything else?
Yes, Your Honor, this falls under MCL 600.2950, not 2950A, which references the stalking statute. 2950 has nothing to do with the stalking statute when it's individuals who have a family connection. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I disagree with that, Your Honor. The statute certainly refers in J, the stalking statute.
Oh, yeah. Well, the court, the court addresses, and doing a PPO, the court always addresses the issue of stalking. So the court will in this particular matter. I will state that clearly in the hearings we had before and in this hearing, there's clearly enough animosity between these parties to go around. There was a lot of irrelevant and extraneous testimony in this matter. And I guess I'd hoped with the prior hearing that we'd be able to cut through that, and we weren't. But the court would note that pursuant to the applicable statute, the court can enjoin and restrain certain conduct if the court determines that there's reasonable cause to believe that an individual has committed or may commit any of the acts listed in MCL 600.2950 parens 1A through K, or under 600.2950A, and that reference stalking, and stalking under, again, the statute is cited by Mr. Schaefer as MCL 750.411H, which means, and I quote, a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continued harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable person to feel terrorized, frightened, intimidated, threatened, harassed, or molested, and that actually causes the victim to feel any of those particular things. In this particular matter, I note as I went through, and I went through a number of times the testimony from the prior hearings, and if the attorneys remember that I did find Miss Kathy Wickwire to be very credible at that time, as I did with Riley at that prior hearing as well. I do note that in the issue brought up about the tire, that the respondent in this case, Miss Leatherman, had testified that there were a pile of tires by the property line, that on 9/11, she removed a tire. She said, I removed a tire from my property and I did not return the tire. Well, I guess if you're going to extrapolate and put two and two together, if the tire's on his property and one happens to be now on her property and she takes it, you can extrapolate that, the fact that, well, it was one of his tires. There's no other testimony that would, I guess, counteract that. There's no other testimony that other tires had like fallen off a truck or anything of that nature. But again, in this matter, the testimony of Miss Wickwire in this particular case is she had seen the respondent roll the tire into her pole barn. She had said that on 6/2023 that the respondent yelled about the trees that were being planted. She called the petitioner names, asshole, pedophile, jerk. She testified that she had yelled at him again on 5/24/2023, that she had asked him why, yelled at him, why is he still living here, called him asshole again. She testified that on 4/30/2023 that she pulled out some stakes. And the testimony of Miss Wickwire as well is that at the past hearing, she testified that she had flipped off. She had flipped off the petitioner, and the testimony of Riley Wickwire was that she had flipped them off as well back on 6/6/2023. That again, there's no doubt that there was extensive verbal confrontations between the parties in this matter. And with the testimony today, it appears that that's been present as well, although it has been the desired effect is since the PPO, the parties have at least left each other alone. I find it interesting that both of the parties in this matter say, I want to be left alone. And it seems like they do almost everything they can to not be left alone and to engage in, again, confrontations with the other party, which understandable, they're siblings and it's probably long lived and there for some period of time. But in this matter, when the court considers all of the testimony at the prior hearings and on today's date, and I'm discounting a lot of the extraneous testimony about, Cotton Lake Road and about other issues about staring at people. That is just really juvenile, and a court doesn't consider that for purposes of that. But the court does acknowledge that there is enough verbal confrontation between the parties in this matter. The court will grant to the petitioner, Mr. Wickwire, a personal protective order, which would in fact keep the petitioner from, again, confronting him on private or public property, keep her from having any communication with him. And that will be the extent of the PPO. I don't know, Mr. Smith, have you prepared that? Have you prepared a PPO in this matter or not?
We have not, Your Honor, but I'm happy to get that to the court yet today.
Okay, if you would do that, you can submit that to the court under 7-day notice of entry. The court will, again, enter that. I will allow you to do that and have that continue for a period of 1 year from today's date.
Your Honor, I believe that you misspoke, and I just to clear the record, you said, I think you switched petitioner and responded around.
I said I granted the petitioner a PPO in this matter against the respondent.
Okay, I think that's what you meant. I'm not sure that's what you said.
Okay, well, if I didn't say that, that's what I meant.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And I might have been thinking about the last proceeding when the parties were switched in the different places. But in any event, Mr. Smith, you can prepare that and submit it to the court, and we'll get that entered.
Your Honor, I'm happy to do it under a 7-day order, or if I could just give you one and then you can check the boxes and sign it, I could do it.
Okay.
I'd rather do it that way.
Why don't you do it? Just have the caption put in and provide it to the court, and then we'll get it. We'll fill it out.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Everyone's excused and have a good day.